Yeah, it more or less came out of the blue, if I'm honest with you. It were more or less in the space of 12 to 24 hours. It were more or less in middle of the last stages of camp, and all of a sudden we're in this predicament. I regretted not the decision to vacate. You know, it's what I have to do to move forward and get the big fights. But yeah, it just seemed to happen really quick. And to be honest with you, if there'd have been more of a build-up, if there'd been a few days dwelling on it, then might have changed my decision. But it would just happen there and then. And you know what? In reflection, I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it because obviously nobody wants to give up a belt, you know. I've worked hard to win that world title, 3 defences under my belt. And I've always said the only way that you're taking this bloody belt off me is by, you know, beating me up and dragging me out of the ring. Or, you know, I go out on my shield, and to lose it to the politics is not always the best way. But like I say, I'm not going to be, I've said this many times and I've probably bore myself in saying it myself, I'm not going to be defined by that one belt. You know, for me, I'm at a stage where I believe I can go on and win more belts. You know, there's lovely belts out there. There's it's all added to your resume. It's all added to your CV. You know, the talk about the Ring Magazine belt. I mean, that just blows my mind. You know, when you look at the history of boxing and how many people and fighters have won that, and then the type of resume, it's like, man, you could have Josh Warrington at the side of that. Wow, it makes me head spin. But you know, it's all out there, and the only way that I was able to do that is by vacating the belt.
Okay, great. We actually answered my second question with that, so I appreciate it. Great to have you back. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thank you very much, Jake. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jake. Next, if we hand over to Joe Lee from Seconds Out, please.
Hi, Josh. How you keeping, mate?
Hey, Joe. You okay?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I was just wondering, as you've just mentioned about, obviously you're frustrated having to vacate the belt. Do you think the best long-term solution for boxing, but also for people who are in your situation and maybe you again in the future, is to scrap most of the belts and just have one world champion in every weight division?
Oh man, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? That would be lovely. I mean, and obviously the belts had a little bit more glam to the fights, and if you had a busy division like the feather division or the lightweight division where you've got, you know, so many great fighters in the top 10, then a lot of fights could be made with different belts on the line. So you could have, you know, like we've had Lopez and Lomachenko, and you've got Aney and all the other rest of the guys. You can all mix them up and put the belts on the line, because obviously everybody wants to have a world title and call themselves a world champion. Ultimately, I think the Ring Magazine is that defining numero uno, cemented number one, because it looks over all of them. I think the belts just add a little bit more gloss to the fights, but I think it should be easier to make the big fights happen. You know, I think with mandatories and everything else, it makes it a little bit difficult. You know, it makes it a little bit difficult, and it's not the first time that we've seen this happen. Obviously, I know there's other politics in there with like different broadcasters, different promoters, and all that stuff. But the belts can be a stumbling block as well. And yeah, it would, like in my position, I think people can maybe take a lesson from that. It won't be defined by that belt, because ultimately there's been some big fights over the years, and some people won't even able to tell you what the belt was on the line. They'll just remember that big fight and how exciting that fight was. So, you know, I consider myself still, you know, one of the best in the world, even though I don't have that strap. I mean, it's all home in my wardrobe, but like I say, it's about having the big fights, and ultimately that's what the fans want to see.
Thank you, mate. Just the one from me. Good luck.
No problem. Thanks, Joe.
Cheers.
Thanks, Joe. If we go to Jim from PA next, please.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for your time.
No worries, Jim.
Hi. Just to I know there's been a lot of talk about what might happen after this fight, but can you just give us a bit of an insight of how you keep yourself focused actually on this fight when everyone's saying, well, after this is going to happen, because if the job doesn't get done on Saturday, then that makes things more difficult, doesn't it?
Because you know, the thing is, Jim, I know what I'm still competing this weekend, and you know, this is fight number 31. I've been here many times, and there's never an easy fight, no matter what promoters, managers, even trainers say. There's never an easy fight. End of the day, it's us who are taking the punches to the face, and You know, if you go in there with the blasé attitude of, oh yeah, this is going to be a steady one, I've got this one straight after, that's when things go wrong. It's sport, you know, it's never a written. It's never a written, you know, you've still got to go out there and perform. And ultimately, when I'm in there, this guy's going to be throwing punches at me, he's going to be trying to hurt me, and I know I've got to beat him up to get past that and make the other fights happen. So, yeah, like I said on a couple of questions ago, there is that dangling carrot there, but that dangling carrot just goes it goes missing. It gets squashed. The talks of the other big fights go out the window. If you get beat, nobody likes that L. No one gets an L and then goes straight into a big unification fight. So it's that, man, what keeps me going. And, you know, I'm 30-year-old now, and I don't want to be adding another 2 years onto my career, getting back up there because I've had a bad night, or taking my eye off the ball, or focus too much on the fight in front. So believe me, I'm fully focused on this Saturday. Obviously, this fight came a little bit short notice than we anticipated, but we've adjusted physically, mentally, and I'm ready to go, mate.
And just another quick one, if I may, with this being the first sort of boxing show this year after all of the restrictions, does that add a little bit of extra special or an extra pressure that, you know, fight fans have been starved of any sort of live action?
It just makes me want to put on a good show. Obviously, got to stay focused and got to do the job in hand. But just want to put on a good show. We're kicking off the boxing season this year in the UK. And like I say, you don't want to have a stinker up first one, do you? Nobody wants to have a stinker up first one because no one's going to be bloody tuning in for the rest of the series. So yeah, let's kick off with a good fight. There's some brilliant fights on the undercard. Like I say, he's a Mexican. I love to go forward. Going to throw punches. Going to be cherry on top end at night.
That's great. Thanks for your time. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, Jim. If you go to Jeremy next, please.
Tell you what, Dan, I'm fucking boring, me. I just can't answer questions quickly, can I? You always talk boring. Oh, man.
Hi, Josh. How are you doing?
Hi, mate. How are you?
Good. You've done a really good job of explaining your rationale for relinquishing the IBF title. I'm kind of wondering, are you more frustrated with the politics of being forced or the attempt to force you into a rematch? Or did you view it as kind of like a fight that doesn't make sense because you've already done it before?
Yeah, probably the latter. The latter, Jeremy. And I think that kind of combines with the first answer as well. It's a bit frustrating with the politics, but in the same breath, I've beaten 3 times. All right, only once as professional, but I've beat him, 3 times altogether, amateur and pro. So it's like my career's not going to be about Barry and Kid Galahad, nor is it just going to be about Lee Selby or Carl Frampton. There's other big names on there. Like what I keep on saying, I want to add to my resume. Your Gary Russells, your Kanjus, your Navarretes, all massive fights out there. And I'm a boxing fan just like you. I can see you all there. That's absolutely fantastic, by the way. You love boxing. And all you want to see is you want to see big fights. Now, as fighters, normally, especially in this pandemic, we normally only fight twice a year. In them fights, I don't want to be having fucking special coming homes and steady defences and assault. Nah, never mind all that stuff. Get me in the big fights. If I could have it my own way, it'd be Kanju in the next one. After that, Gary Russell Jr. And just keep on having these big fights while the momentum's there, whilst I'm in my prime years and whilst we've got time. So, if organisations are going to demand mandatories or there's an opportunity to vacate and then go on to bigger fights, then that's what I'll do. That's what I'll have to do, and I've already done so.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it, and
no worries,
thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. Great wall, by the way, mate. Great wall.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. If it goes to Ron Lewis next, please.
Hi, Josh. By the looks of things, the first thing you did on arriving in London was redecorate your hotel room. Can you take us through your motivational wall behind you there? And is that something you always do?
I'm away from home, isn't it, Ron? I'm away from home. So we have one of the fellows who sponsors a few of the lads in the gym, and he's kindly given me a logoed fridge. But I'm always coming out with quotes and statements and motivations and stuff. And we were just chatting in the gym, and he heard some of the stuff that we said. And one of the bottom lines there is beyond the belts. And Nick Manners had said it first, and then we were all just laughing and joking about that. And I think that quote kind of came from what we've more or less done in recent times in vacating the belt. You know, I keep on saying that I'm not going to be defined by that belt. So in us vacating and moving on for the bigger fights, we're going beyond the belts. It's not about that fucking one belt there. It's about the bigger fights, the bigger nights, the bigger stages, and that's it, mate. Yeah, that's it. But
well, one's above it.
One's above it. We've got make your life a masterpiece. Imagine no limitations on what you can be, have or do. Push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. I mean, I love that one because certainly boxing is a singular sport, and although we do have corner teams, and you know, on a normal circumstance, we'd be fighting in front of thousands of people and they're screaming and shouting. Ultimately, it's only me who can throw my arms in the ring. You know, ultimately, when I'm in the gym, it's only me who can push myself in training. It's only me who can push myself on the runs. That just makes sense because, like I say, my old fella can scream and shout at me to do whatever, but it's up to me to do so. And I've got to take charge of it. It's like this Saturday, everyone's talking about what could potentially be after. It's up to me. I've got to do this next one first. So yeah, that one is certainly relevant at this moment in time. But listen, Ron, I've got a book of them. I love quotes, mate. If I could have my own way at home, it'd be all over the house. But Mrs. isn't that keen.
Is it always something you do though when you go to a hotel room? Now, have you ever been charged for like damaging the wallpaper?
No, I always make sure that I look after it. Make sure I pull the tape off nice and gently, and it's all right. But yeah, I just do little things like that, little mementos. Maybe put me. I've got a Leeds United scarf and flag that always goes up. I'll write little notes in my training diaries. Or little phases, like for instance, 2018, it were destined. I was destined to be world champion against that fight at Leeds Selby at Ellen Road. Last year was year of unification. That never came out right, but yeah, I don't mind them. There's just some people and athletes might think it's stupid, but I don't mind that. I love all that motivational shit.
Excellent. Take care, mate.
Cheers, Ron. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Ron. If we go to Kevin Garside next, please.
Let me unmute myself. Am I unmuted there?
Yeah,
you can hear, mate.
You are. Okay. Josh, you are a famous son of Leeds, and I wonder if in this pandemic period you've been able to connect with your football team in any way that's meaningful when you approach a fight.
Just been able to watch them on the telly, mate. That's it. You know, I've had a few messages today, actually, as I've arrived here, wishing me well, which I massively appreciate.
Who are the boxing fans in the team?
I think most of them are fans of myself. I mean, right. I don't know how many are diehard boxing fans. Like Liam Cooper and Stewie Dallas are big boxing fans, and I believe Click is as well. But yeah. The rest of them just support myself and always want me to do well. So yeah, I've had some nice messages off them, and I'm sure they'll be sending me a few for the rest of the week as well. But in terms of personal interaction, there hasn't been many. Plenty on social, but like I say, I've had invites to the game, but I've not gone down because I went down for the Charlton game at end of last season. And I watched the cup get lifted. I kind of abused my position, and we're able to get in there and watched all that. But I felt a little bit dirty, if I'm honest with you. Because there's people who would have chopped the left legs out, or people who've not missed a game in 40 or so years, and I was there. So I felt that I wouldn't go to a Premier League game until the rest of the fans are back. Because ultimately, my connection with the club, I'm still just a fan first and foremost. So yeah, I'll go back when the rest of the fans are allowed back.
But it is, isn't it? It's quite important that the identity of a city is so intimately linked with its big sports brands. Leeds United, fantastic club. We remember Bremner and that era, Johnny Giles. You know, I mean, I'm old enough to remember seeing those guys live. Fantastic club. And now Bielsa's doing something unbelievable in the way that, you know, we've got a great coach at a great club, and everybody's talking about Leeds. But, you know, for boxing fans, you know, you're just as your identity as a son of Leeds, as it were, is so important. And I wonder how much that kind of feeds your energy when you're coming into big fight weekends, your identity as a Leeds boy and what it means to Leeds for you to do well.
I love it. I love it. I'm Leeds through and through. And the support isn't just coming from Leeds these days, but it started off in Leeds, you know. And when I'd been a Leeds fan all my life, and you know, started going down to the ground as a young lad, and then when you start falling in love with the club, we were diabolical, we were terrible in League One, getting beat off of pub teams in FA Cup, and you know, you start following the club, and you know, your profile starts growing around the city, and there's only 16,000 turning up to Ellen Road in league matches, but we're getting 10,000 in the arena to watch me, and I'm hearing a lot of comments like, you know, you're bringing the glory days back to Leeds, Josh, and you know, to quote a few comments of what I've heard many times when we weren't doing so well and before Bielsa and all that stuff, were, you know, at least you'll bring a smile to our face instead of that bag of shite down at Ellen Road, and that's what times were like for a long period. And then, you know, I had the massive fight at Ellen Road in May 2018, and a few people were saying that's seen Ellen Road bouncing like that for a long time. And then Bielsa came in, and it's just kind of bounced on from there. Now, I'm not saying that I'm started that effect or anything like that, but it kind of works hand in hand. And obviously, now I'm seeing them doing well. I want to carry on doing well. And, you know, I'm sure the boys at the Leeds Rhinos want to keep on doing well. And anybody else who's from the sporting background, whether it's swimmers or the gymnasts or the triathletes, everybody wants to do well because, like you say, a city who loves its sport, when everyone's booming, then it shows. It's good energy. So, you know, I certainly take energy off Leeds United and how everybody's talking about him, and they're all over the place, and for the better, to be honest with you, because, you know, we do get a lot of stick, Leeds and Leeds fans. But yeah, it's I think if I'm doing well as well, and it runs in hand in hand.
Thanks, Josh.
No problem, Kev.
Thanks, Kevin. If you go to Andy from Boxing Social next, please.
Hi, Josh. How you doing?
Hello, Andy. How are you, pal?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. We spoke on the phone about a month ago before the Lara fight was announced, and when everybody thought it was Kanju next. And you said to me, when you was heading into the fights from now on, you wanted the stoppage wins. You'd had enough wars, and you wanted to get out of the ring earlier. You wanted to be able to enjoy a night, get into bed early. With the change of opponent, the change of mentality, you haven't got that roaring Leeds fan base behind you on the night as well. How do you go about ensuring you can do something similar to Maurizio Lara?
I know the power's there. I know I've got the technique and whatnot. Certainly with them little 8-ounce gloves on. I mean, I do damage in sparring when I've got the 16-ounce gloves on, and you know, the sparring partner's got the big head guards on, and man, they're like pillows. And these gloves that I'll be slipping on Monday night, Saturday night, are like, they're tight, they're brand new, and even just doing that, it hurts. So I know that when I'm landing them shots, it's gonna do damage, but it's setting them shots up. Now, a Mexican who's got a massive opportunity, the last thing I would need to do is go all guns blazing in the first few rounds. It's been a long time since I've traded level with little gloves on. So, you know, I reckon a round or two, you know, we'll be taking a look, getting myself warmed into it. I don't think he does 12 that well. I don't think he's done it that many times, if I'm honest with you. So, you know, I'm experienced in the long drawn out fights that we've said before. I think once I get warmed into it, maybe start sitting down on my punches, and then when Dad gives me the green light to go, then put it all together, mate.
Final thing from me, Josh, because I know that you've run out of time. Other people waiting to ask. how much attention do you pay to social media, Josh? I know you have heard about kind of the outburst from Kid Galahad, and you'd have seen the fight with Jazza Dickens on the verge of kind of the purse bids and what have you. Well, purse bids were confirmed, but just how much have you paid attention to what Kid Galahad's been saying about you and what have you?
I am. I am, to be honest with you, mate. He can do whatever he wants to do, but he needs to mention me, doesn't he? Because that's how it right. I think Eddie had cleared this up last week when there were a purse bid to fight me. It went into millions, and I think the purse bid against Jazza Dickens just made 100, maybe the six-figure mark. So yeah, it's boring. It's boring. I don't know who runs his social media and all that and does his daft videos for him, but like I say, he wants me to respond because it's fucking irrelevant about me. So I'm on a different path, different mission. So yeah, I don't pay too much attention, mate.
Josh, best of luck on Saturday. I'll catch up with you after.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Andy. We've got time for 2 more outlets to ask quick questions. We've got Josh's opponent just waiting to join. So we'll go to Steve Bilton first, and then Jonathan. I know you've been waiting the whole time, mate, and we'll have to end it there.
Hi, Josh. It's Steve from Boxing UK.
Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
Hello, mate. Josh, I just wanted to talk about your absence from the ring.
Yeah.
You had 4 fights in 15 months, 3 of them pretty high profile. And then it's been 15 months since you fought. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know, Steve. we'll have to wait and see on Saturday. Listen, it's not been a bad thing, I don't think. Obviously, I need to be active. I want to be active. I like going off. I like having them fights in quick succession. Not because I go like ballooning up in between weight or anything like that, but just I'm in that routine. You get used to having your camps. You get used to getting straight back into the gym and working on the next game plan and sussing out the next opponent. Now, 15 months is a long time and it's a big void. But if anything, it's given me a chance to work on a few things that I thought I needed to work on. Let a few little injuries, niggling injuries, what I've had over a long period of time, just rest up completely and recharge up there as well. So I'm itching to be back, and I'm ready to resume to the busy schedule again.
Good man. Best luck on Saturday, Josh.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Take care.
Hey, Josh, John here from Pro Boxing Fans. How you doing?
Hi, John. You okay?
Not bad, thanks. You mentioned obviously fights looming potentially with Kanju, Gary Russell. How much sort of guarantees have you had that if you come through Saturday night, that will be your next fight? And I know last year you were linked quite heavily to a fight with Shakur Stevenson, who's now moved up. Is that a guy still on your radar, perhaps later this year?
Yeah, I think so. To answer your first question, listen, Sam with Eddie for a reason. Since our absence away from him, he's grown and grown and grown in the sport. And I think we've grown as well in terms of our profile. Now we're back together. You put trust in your team and your promotion company and everyone else. And, he's very, very confident that he can make these fights happen. And all we've got to do is keep winning. And then it makes it easy to happen. I didn't even realise it, but apparently there's a bit of a value when you get to fight me, especially when crowds are back in. Because my amount of money that we generate in ticket sales and everything else. So, there is that. But yeah, it's about winning the fights, getting through them. In terms of Shakur, I think he was the only man who looks like potentially being made when I was under Frank and his team. But now things have changed a little bit. There's many other options. Listen, that would be a great fight if I went up to super feather. Everyone's talking about how great he is, and he could potentially be an ex-superstar. It'd be nice to stop that hype train, and me and him have shared a few words from time to time. But there's also some other fantastic fights out there. Santa Cruz has said he's still hanging about at featherweight. Oscar Valdez has moved up to 130 as well. Could be potentially Barnstorm and Navarrete, big punching Mexican. So they're all mouth-watering fights, and like I said earlier on in this Zoom call, that you just want to be in the fights that the fans are excited about. The fights that the fans remember. And I'm not saying that Shakur wouldn't be that, but yeah, we'll just wait and see when we get through these next few.
Best of luck Saturday, Josh. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
One very last one, as we've got two Jonathans on the call. Jonathan Pinfield, if you just want to finish things off for us, mate.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Josh, just wanted to ask you a bit about your dad, if that's okay. How's he kept you entertained during lockdown? Has he been putting you through your paces in the gym? And how are his knees doing? Because I was thinking, have you thought about getting him a Bielsa bucket to sit down on between the rounds to give him a bit of a what do you reckon?
Yeah, he sits down on stool normally in between the rounds. His knees are struggling a bit these days. He gets a can of WD-40, sprays them on there, just loosen them up a bit. You'll watch him on Saturday. He struggles getting in and out of ropes. I think it takes him about 15 seconds to get in. So we only get around 20 seconds in between rounds. But no, he's good. He's good. He's obviously motivated because last year he had a successful year with Max Hughes. He turned his career around a little bit and I got him some very good wins when Max was a massive underdog. Now he's got myself and Reese to go out on Saturday night, so that's been keeping him busy. So, you know me, old fella. He always makes light of bad situations, whether that be not fighting for such a long time or not getting the fights we wanted. Just always tries to make best of it, and he just says, "Listen, it's only a bit of boxing. Stop carrying on." And keeps us entertained with his daft things like his dancing and things like that, mate. Yeah.
And finally, Josh, when the fight was first announced, some people on social media actually thought that you were fighting the West Indies legendary cricketer Brian Lara.
Right, okay.
It made me think that there's a lot of talk at the moment about these exhibition bouts featuring YouTubers and random celebrities. What are your thoughts on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for boxing?
My thoughts are they shouldn't be allowed to call themselves professional boxers. There should be kind of some other kind of license for them, but they're not pro boxers. Maybe have them as an exhibition bouts. I don't mind them if they headline a show where there's a lot of pro boxers on the undercard, but don't label them as pro fighters. And yeah, that's it really.
Brilliant.
Nice one, Jonathan. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time, Josh. Always appreciated.
No worries, Dan.
Isolation, mate. I think you've got about 20 hours to go, probably.
Yeah, no worries. I'll go from this chair and I'll move to my bed. Maybe come back to this chair in about an hour's time.
Nice.
Nice one.
Thanks, Dan. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. I'm out.
So we've got